All right, welcome to FLEARN 1. This is for the 7th and 8th graders. It's called a quick start. Now, not all of you have had me last year, or in 6th grade, where we go through and use the hand tools. So I want to make sure everybody knows how to safely use each of the tools in the toolbox. And so, anyway, so what we're going to do is you're going to measure and cut a piece of wood 6.5 inches long. You're going to cut it, you're going to sand it, you're going to use all the tools on it and write each tool on there. Now, in this video, you might hear me say 4.5 inches. I'm kind of using some video from the 6th grade one, which is fine. I'll have little subtitles that says yours has to be 6.5 inches long. Okay? And so again, we're going to do this quick start. Some of you are going to be done the first day, and that's great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my tape measure. I will have done a demo, actually a lesson on measuring, and I'm going to mark here, and I'm going to mark here, and I'm going to use the rafters angle to make sure that I have a nice straight line. You see this edge? I'm going to have that edge flat against there, so I have a nice 90-degree angle. Okay, and I'm going to measure again. The reason I'm doing this is I need to know where to put that blade when I start cutting. If I start cutting down the center of that line, I'm going to take off some stuff I want to leave. So I'm going to actually make sure when I start cutting that I can just see the edge of, because I want to leave 4.5 inches. Now, back to my miter box. Remember that edge over the side? And I'm going to have this, but come around a little bit so they can see this. This is flat against that wall. And I can clamp this in place, but I got to make sure that I have this where I want it. So, line this up. Woo! All right. Start cutting slowly. I'm going to move these letters out of the way and keep the blade nice and flat. Okay, you hear a little click at the end. Before I do anything else, I need to measure to make sure that I'm within a 1/16 of an inch, and you can see 4.5 inches exactly. Okay, that's what I want. Now, one more thing. Before you start cutting a piece of wood, you might want to bring this rafters angle and make sure the piece of wood that you have is nice and flat. Someone else might have cut it at an angle like this, and that'll mess you up. So check that. You might even have to cut it flat and then cut another piece. Okay? So, I have my 4.5 inch piece of wood. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my name on the back. Can breaker. That way, when we clean up, someone won't just, you know, hey, we'll throw it in the wood bin or whatever. Now, we have to sand this. I'm going to do a demo on this in class, but maybe you aren't here doing that. Just like you have dots per inch on a TV, you have 120, and you'll notice they're bigger than the 220, which is smaller. You want to start with the bigger, and there's a poster, if you look up here, sanding 101. First sand the edges with the 120, then sand the sides with the 120 with the grain, I'll explain that, and then with the 220. So, what that means is, the edges is where we get splinters. First thing we're going to want to do is sand those down so we don't have splinter edges. All the other sanding is with the grain. See the lines in the wood? I want to sand with, now this needs to be knocked down a little bit. I want to sand with those lines. Now this is something where I'm not going to show all this in the video. Okay, it's going to take a long time. We're going to pause the video. Okay, so I finished sanding with the 120 sandpaper, and now I'm going to go, notice I'm over the garbage can so that we don't have a mess all over the room. And we typically do this in the back of the room away from the computers and laser cutter, well, not the laser cutter, but the 3D printers and stuff. So, and now I'm at the 220, and I did this. So this is going to take 5 to 10 minutes. It's a good workout, part of the PE program we have here at Chinook. And the thing is that you want this smooth. You use each tool on this. This is the purpose, so that you can get all your questions answered, and I can safely show you how to use all the tools. Okay. So we're going to start with the bar clamps here, and we have 3 different types of bar clamps. They have, so you can basically open them up, and this will close them. Same thing as a little lever back here, right there. And there's a red dot here for these to open it up and to close. And the use for these is so you can clamp something to the table. Turn this wood over. And I use that bar there. I'm going to clamp it down. If we have one, it kind of moves around. So you really want to use 2 if you can, if there are 2 available. Okay, and clamp them pretty hard. Now you have a piece of wood it's not going to move. We're going to start off with the rasps and the files. The rasps have big teeth, like a raspy voice is really rough. This is for removing a lot of wood. This is for actually polishing wood, and this one also is for metal, okay? We don't use rasps on metal, but let's say I have this corner here, and you'll notice there's an area I can grab, is I can actually smooth out that corner pretty well. It takes a little practice to get used to that, and that's what this is for. Then, you're going to mark this rasp. And you're going to mark it for each tool as we use it, okay? Now you might want to, for example, try the round rasp, and you'll see it removes a lot of wood. I'm going to turn this a little bit. And the round file sounds different and doesn't remove as much wood. It's also smoother, okay? So I can sit here and use rasp for both of these and file for this one. All right, rasp and files. You can use the flat file as well. Great. This is called the coping saw. It has a thin blade, and also if it's loose, you'll see the blade twist. We don't want that. We'll pinch this and we'll tighten it, okay? But the coping saw, if the blade breaks, just let me know. It happens. And so what it's for is for cutting curve cuts. If I move the back here, could you make it so we can see the back? If I move the back here while I'm cutting this, you'll see it does a curve cut. And a coping saw really is for curve cuts. Piece comes off like that. All right, and then I label it coping saw. If you can. Now, if these pencils don't work right, grab one of the green ones. They are for saw. All right. Yep, my handwriting. I know, it's on wood. So we're going to keep going through. Now I'm going to take these off the clamp. This is a miter box, and this is a miter saw. Okay, and what we're going to do, this is for cutting straight lines, straight cuts on wood. And you'll notice this lip right here. Okay, this lip actually goes against the table, otherwise it moves around, it's really noisy and really obnoxious, okay? So I put in, I make sure there's plenty of room, and once you're done using a tool, put it back. Don't leave a pile on the table like I'm doing here, okay? Because other people need to use it, and you don't want them to grab a saw and bring it past your neck trying to get it, okay? So I push this against the wall here. Notice my fingers are pushing forward, and I gently start going straight back and forward. Don't cut all the way through, just get so you're comfortable with it. You can cut it 45 degrees, you can cut it 45 degrees this way, okay? And this was the miter saw, okay? So anyway, that's for making nice straight cuts. The hand rip saw, or cross cut saw, is for cutting at a 45-degree angle. I like to clamp things down. You can even just clamp down one if you want. Move the chairs out of the way. Never sit down while you're sawing. Try not to hit the table. And I'm cutting through, and that's all I need to show the hand rip saw. I'm making it look easy because I've done this before, and this is the hand rip saw, the R-I-P saw. Okay? Now, you might want to do this the smooth side because it actually writes easier on. I didn't for some reason. This is the rafters angle. This is actually, I enjoy this tool. These are tools I would use when I was framing. Okay? And it says pivot. And what you can do is you can pivot this. And you'll notice if I have a line here, and it asks you for a 30-degree angle. If I bring this number here to 30, and I put the pencil where the pivot was, this is 30 degrees from here to here. If I went to 60, see the 60 there, and I keep the pivot point in the same spot, that would be a 60-degree angle. That's how the rafters angle works. Carpenter square is for making sure things are square, 90 degrees. All you need to do is do this and go carpenter square. All right? So, that's a terrible handwriting, but that's my handwriting. What else we got here? You know, I think we've done it all. Yeah. So what you do is you do the write-up, make sure everything's labeled, fill this out, bring it to me, we grade them both, and you can get going on some other stuff. All right. Be safe, have fun, in that order.